Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, going to go over a story titled, My Family is Foobar Beyond Comprehension, and it all goes back to my sister. And a shout out to Ben for sending me this story. And guys, this story is about a guy, I'm guessing he's probably somewhere mid to late 20s or so. And long story short, this guy is having the last laugh as he comes from a family that's fairly well off, fairly wealthy with a little W, who's always treated him like crap. His sister has always been the golden child, spoiled brat, entitled a-hole, all that. And while he was forced to be self-reliant and make a life of his own, which he has, she's been nothing but a drain to his a-hole parents, and now they're coming to him trying to figure out what to do with her and all that. And this guy's having the last laugh by handling the situation like a boss, and really saying what needs to be said and doing what needs to be done with regards to a family like this. And I've been going to go over here, guys, because I'm sure there are some of you out there right now that had this growing up, that your family, for whatever reason, decided you weren't worth a whole lot, and your sibling, your sister, or your brother, or both, were the golden children, and they got everything, and they're spoiled, useless a-holes, and you were forced to be self-reliant, make something of yourself, and you get to go back and have the last laugh watching the whole thing crumble and burn to the ground. And that's what this guy's doing here, and I think it's a really good one here. So for any of you in that situation, kick back, you'll definitely enjoy this one of a-holes getting what's coming to them. He says, my sister is the cliche of the spoiled, rich Beverly Hills type, just not living in Beverly Hills. What she wants, she gets, and she will do whatever she has to do to get it without having to work for it. She has made it clear to me that she is the chosen one, and I'm nothing. Okay, she gonna bring balance to the force or something? My mentality through this is that I don't care and let her deal with the issue that our parents have. I'm good with my life. I have a degree and a career. I'm good. I've had a prior conversations with my mom regarding this, and she seemed to maybe take it into consideration what I was saying, and was maybe starting to work and try to find and fix some of the issues that my sister had. When it comes to my parents and family, I don't actively seek any of them out. I talk to my parents once a month if I'm lucky. I let them call, and usually it's one parent who will relay any necessary info back to the other. We also live almost 3 hours away from each other, so that's another reason why we don't talk. Well, the reason you don't talk is because your parents are a-holes and have always made it clear that you have the short end of the stick, and your sister is the queen, except the queen is a tyrant. Apparently, the issues that my parents have created with my sister have gone up one step further and are worse than they ever could have been. Bad enough for my mother to drive 3 hours to visit me. Imagine my surprise to open the door to my house and see my mom on the other side. Into the conversation, she told me that she heard what I had said about my sister being useless, and she was trying to slowly fix the problem. Fix the problem? I think that he said the sister's in her mid-20s, and she's been a spoiled brat her whole life. No, there's no change in her. Mom and Dad create a monster. That's Mom and Dad's problem to deal with. And she thought she was making headway until she found out her husband bought her a condo and was covering all her expenses. Smack to the husband and father. I asked her why this mattered to me. I reminded her that I was just an issue that had to be dealt with. Her and my dad's words that explained to me and my existence. I reminded her that there was nothing that I could do to help them or fix the problem they created. Did he just say that they once told him that he's just an issue that had to be dealt with? I want to point out that the dude telling the story here admits later on that he's gay, and it sounds like the family probably could tell very early on, you know, as a child, his behavior, and then he was just, you know, whatever, that's her other kid. For the first time in my life, my mom acknowledged this and acknowledged the way I was treated. While she didn't really apologize, she did say that I was treated pretty badly. She told me she was telling me this because it needed to get out in the open somewhere. So she's admitting that she went wrong, but she's not actually apologizing for it because in her mind, this guy's an inferior piece of crap to her and her husband. Well, tough shit. I'd ask my mom some really hard questions, mostly because I'm trying my own way to understand some of this. My parents' marriage for the last few years has mostly been roommates. Divorce for them is out of the question because of how complicated their finances are and the estate. If they were divorced, it would be friendly. Gee whiz, are you trying to tell me that after probably a couple decades, maybe 30 years of marriage, your parents aren't attracted to each other, they're bored? Yeah, that never happens. They really don't love each other like they should. They love each other as friends, but marital love is long gone. With that being said, I asked my mom the question, have you or Dad been sleeping around? She immediately responded that she was not, and she truly felt like my dad was not either. I asked her if the sister had something that she was holding over Dad's head. She asked what that could be. I asked her maybe Dad and her were having some kind of unhealthy relationship, and she was blackmailing Dad to get what she wanted, or she would go public. That's a possibility. Well, if they're not hooking up, obviously Dad's getting to someplace else, or the mother here is getting to someplace else. Somebody's getting something someplace else, and maybe the daughter has dirt on them. Or just simply she's Daddy's little girl, and he spoiled her rotten, and he can't say no to her. That's probably a very likely case. I told her that up to this point she had the normal spoiled kid things: a car, credit cards, vacations, and trips, all of which you, Mom, were also in on. This purchase was more than any spoiled child should ever have in their lifetime. I reminded her that when I was 18, I was told that I was on my own and had to figure out life. You fucking kidding me? I'm all for preparing your kid for the world, as all parents should. Tough love. When I was 16, my parents said, okay, you're 16, you're going to get a job, you're going to pay you're going to pay your car insurance and your gas and things like that. And I was like, no problem. I love getting a job at 16. I loved having my own bank account, my first ATM card and stuff like that. It was independence. My sister, who people nicknamed the princess, didn't have to have a job at 16, amongst many other things. So I'm getting where some of this in this story is going, except there wasn't anything close to this extreme. That my sister is 25 right now and still has no idea how to be an adult. And it makes me wonder what they are not telling me, or what secrets they are keeping from my sister to have this much power over them. Again, my mom said that in her heart of hearts that this isn't the case, and they just messed up pretty bad. Well, at least she can admit it, but you know what? To this guy telling the story here, who's always gotten the short end of the stick, obviously, and they made him feel abundantly clear that he was nothing to them, that he's someone they have to deal with, and they told him to figure out life at 18, I'd be like, number one, I wouldn't have a relationship with these assholes, and two, I'd be like, you figure it out. It's not my problem. You know, he clearly had a sink or swim moment at 18, as a lot of people do, where, okay, figure out your life at 18 because we're not going to help you. That's obviously what they were telling him. So he obviously swam and has his own life, takes care of himself. He's his own man, which a lot of people don't do. So it's not his fucking problem. He doesn't need these people. Don't let anybody have power over you guys. Better to be dirt poor on your own terms than let somebody else have power over you. He says, if this was Am I the A-hole post, this is where I would be the a-hole. I asked my mom what she expected me to do about the situation. What did she think she was going to gain by telling me all this, and what she thinks I can do about it. She told me that she knows I can't do anything about it. She acknowledged that there isn't anything that I can do about this, that again, she needs to just get this out of her system. I asked her if she confronted Dad on these things, and she said that his excuse was that he was trying to help get her out of the house, and that this was the only way he felt he could. He said that retirement for both of them is on the horizon, and they would make money back once they liquidated and downsized. I told her that from their standpoint, it would make sense. But Dad forgot one big main issue, which is that she can't maintain herself. If this father in the story thinks that he can just retire and the girl is going to mooch off them forever, he is sorely mistaken. This girl is raised and conditioned to mooch off her parents and other people. And this guy has a weakness for her. What's going to happen is she'll keep mooching off them, and they'll have to go back to work. So they don't sound that rich to me, to be honest with you. They probably sound above average, extremely comfortable, but not rich. Because people that are truly rich, they could literally take care of the kids their whole lives and still not have to worry about money, but clearly that's not the case. There's different definitions of rich. My mom said that this was an issue and that she was trying to work with my sister about. She sat my sister down and told her that she needs to work at figuring out her future, and was trying to encourage her to get her real estate license and go into the family business. Yeah, like if I'm going to buy a house, like I would trust someone like his sister. Please. By this point, I'm pissed off and don't even know why I was told this. And I told my mom that I don't want you to know anything and that I just want to be done with this whole conversation. I told my mom that it makes no sense for her to tell me any of this. I did offer to let her sleep in one of my guest rooms. She said that was okay, but she had reservations for a hotel. She left and I went to bed angry. This morning, I had my aha moment. I can't do anything about it, and there is nothing I want to do about it. This literally doesn't even concern me. All I can do is let it go one ear and out the other. I had nothing to offer, and even if I did, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't. I'm not here for sympathy or advice. Comment if you would like to. I guess I just, like my mom, I need some place to get this out in the open so it doesn't sit with me anymore. Now, before I go into the update here, how this guy handles this a-hole family, yeah, guys, I'm sure there are some of you watching this right now that there was the favorite child in your family, the golden child, and were treated so great, and you were treated like crap, varying degrees, and you had a sink or swim moment, and you took care of yourself, and then later on, like in this story, the parents are trying to ask you advice about your sibling or siblings that were the golden children, or maybe you don't have relationships with your parents. My life growing up was nowhere near this extreme, but I love my parents. I have a good relationship with them, but when I was young, it was not so easy. My dad was old school and tough, and it hardened me. But my sister had it way easy, night and day. And that was their own doing. And guess who eventually became the favorite child? Me, because they saw that I was self-reliant and went for things in life and took care of myself. I still love my sister, but she grew up eventually. But they. I had people tell me, my godparents told me that, yeah, you always got the short end of the stick. And it was unfortunate, but it helped harden me. Like this guy here, it hardened him. And now he doesn't have to deal with these assholes. As none of you should if you were in a situation like this. And I love these stories where these spoiled assholes get their own. Now the update here. It says, it was mentioned in one of my responses to another comment about the potential of my sister bleeding my parents dry and them losing everything and then maybe moving in with me. This will never happen. This was the hilarity of them going from the opulence to living in a 3-bedroom double wide in a trailer park. If this were to ever happen, and I can assure you it will not, I would be a dictator. My answer to any of the complaints would be for me to hold the door open to them and tell them they are free to leave and that I don't want them here to begin with. I would introduce them to people as my issues that need to be dealt with. But again, I cannot stress this enough, this will never happen. In other words, yeah, they haven't prepared properly to be retired, never work again, and the sister's going to bleed them dry, and next thing you know, they want to move in with him. And he's like, nope, not happening, because you always said I'm the one you have to deal with. Well, he's going to have the same attitude with them. But they ain't moving in with me. That's the problem a lot of parents have. A lot of, I think Gen Xers have. Gen Xers who are in their 50s or so. They can't imagine ever retiring because they didn't prepare their kids properly for the real world. And now they don't have the money to retire. Or they're now, because they didn't raise their kids properly, prepare them properly for the world, they're raising their kids' the grandkids, that type of thing. And yeah, if you don't properly prepare your kids for the world and real life to take care of themselves and sustain themselves, then you are going to be taking care of them all throughout your life, and you are never going to be able to remotely scale back your work, let alone actually retire and have enough money. You'll be working to the day you die. And that's going to happen to these people, which I think is quite funny. I'm hoping that this is the last entry of this situation. I read each and every one of your responses and replied to a few of them. With that being said, I did what so many of you have said that I need to do. I've officially gone no contact. Again, I was going to do an update to this on Saturday, but time got away with me and I didn't have just the time. So here's when he goes boss mode on his asshole family here. So on Saturday, I sent them a long email to all 3 of them on the same email. I told them that I was done and there is realistically no reason for me to be involved in the family and that they are no longer in contact with me. I put everything out there. Bro, they treat you like shit your whole life, and your sister is a first-class asshole, and they're all assholes. Again, it's like Spaceballs, I'm surrounded by assholes. So why have any contact with them? They're just trying to use you. I told them that they had no reason or excuse to tell me any of this or problems since I was just an issue to be dealt with. I told them that I bring no value or purpose to their lives, and I don't understand why they still talk to me at this point. I also told them exactly what I thought about my sister, and I did not hold back. I told all 3 of them that I hated E. E's his sister, probably her name was Emily or something, from the pits of my soul. that she had been nothing but cruel to me, and she serves no purpose or brings no value to my life at all, and that if I never spoke to her again, I'd be perfectly happy about this. I told them that if she were to die tomorrow, that I wouldn't shed a tear, and that I would most likely just piss on her grave. Oh man, this guy's pissed. He must have been treated pretty freaking bad by these people. I told them that I didn't understand why they felt the need to constantly tell me about the problems they created, or why they feel they need to ask me how to fix the problem they created. They did this all to themselves, and while my sister didn't have to do anything, I had to do everything. I reminded them that I got a job the first chance I could when I was 15 years old, and worked to put myself through college, and have been working at the same hospital for the last 5 years. I got my degree and a house. She has nothing and can't do anything without their help. See? He had the sink or swim moment. At 15, he got a job because he wanted to have some reliance on himself instead of them. Put himself through college, got himself a job, got his own house. It was a sink or swim moment, and he chose to swim. Meanwhile, she can't take care of herself. They're coming to him with the problems because he's the only one that actually has a brain in that family, who's self-reliant. He's the rock, even though he wants nothing to do with him. I reiterated that I was under no circumstance will help them fix the mess that they created. I reminded my sister that when she blows through the estate and has nothing to live on, that I will under no circumstances help her, and that she will never be welcome on my property. Good for you, bro. I would still install some security cameras and everything around your house. I did, however, take it a step further. I don't know what the current status of my parents' relationship is, but I don't think it is in the great of shape. But for as long as I can remember, they have talked about retirement, travel, and hanging out with the grandkids. Here's the kicker. I'm gay, so they are not going to get any grandkids from me. Even if I were to adopt, they would never accept the children because it's not their bloodline. Shocker. I'm not all surprised about that. So my sister is their only hope for the grandchildren. And I told them this: you have always talked about retirement and grandkids. You do realize that I'm gay, and you have no chance of achieving this. With that being said, your only hope for grandkids is E. Let me know how that goes. While we do not come from any kind of culture that recognizes arranged marriage, now that I have put this in my parents' head, I can almost assure you that they're going to have to find a way for my sister to provide them with this. I'm certain that she will one way or another be set up. I sent the email, I attached red receipts, and when I got all 3 receipts back, I blocked them. I blocked them on all social media platforms and their phone numbers. The only way for them to get in contact with me is to show up at my house. I can't see that happening, and if they do, I will have them removed. Bro, of course they're going to show up at your house. At the beginning of this story, your mom just showed up at your house. Many of you wonder why I kept in contact with them. The truth is, I've gone no contact with them many times. They always find a way to weasel their way back into my life. Well, then they're going to do it again, dude. And for a while, it wasn't that bad, and it was tolerable. But now that they have upped the ante, it is time to take a different approach. This is what led me to send the email. I didn't wait for them to respond. I have no reason to look for any kind of response, and I truly don't want to hear from them again. At some point or another, I need some kind of peace in my life, and I'll never get with them. Thank you all. So there you go, guys. This is a guy who pushed too far. And I'm sure there's some of you out there somewhere that can relate to this guy in some degree. Or maybe it's exactly like this, and maybe you haven't had enough inspiration to cut these toxic family members out of your life. But, yeah. And I've known families like this where you have the one child that is the golden child and treated like gold, obviously because they're the golden child, and are spoiled, rotten, irresponsible, can't take care of themselves to save their lives. And the other child who is the short end of the stick is reliable, resourceful, does well. Yeah. But regardless, I don't blame this guy at all. That's mom coming over trying to fix her, because he wanted her to fix the problems. This guy, that was the final straw. And so I have no problem with spoiled assholes get what's coming to them, as well as the people that created these spoiled assholes. You know, I mean, the way he described that they were talking about him when he was a kid, saying he was just something that they had to deal with, amongst many other things, and the way the sister was awful to him. You know, I mean, just... But the sad thing is a lot of people have a weakness for family. Even if family's awful to them, their self-esteem is so low that they will just accept it because they just assume they're garbage. Clearly, this is a guy who does not do that, you know, and so he's done with them, and I got no problem with that at all. So let the family deal with the asshole daughter, and she can deal with the asshole parents. And at the end of the day, they're all going to be broke, and you know it. I mean, it's always interesting when you hear these stories about these super wealthy families, and usually it's the first generation that creates the wealth. The second generation may take on the family business and they grow it a bit, but it starts dwindling, and it's the third generation that just completely fucks it all up and it's gone. You know, I mean, I once read that the Vanderbilts, from Cornelius Vanderbilt, from the freaking, you know, the Commodore, the shipping guy, then he became the train guy. After 50 years after he died, pretty much the family wealth was almost all gone. And he was at one point the richest man in America before John D. Rockefeller. I like history, but the point is, this girl is going to just dwindle. She's going to go through all the money left over, and they're going to have nothing. And this guy is doing well for himself, and he's going to be okay. But anyhow, there you go. That'd be a good one to go over here. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you got a good story you find, definitely send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.